Trending ngayon at pinag-uusapan si Toni Gonzaga at ang open letter na pinadala sa kanila ng Ateneo Martial Law Museum. Maraming netizen ang nag-react at marami ring netizen ang tila binibigyan nga ng side si Toni Gonzaga at ang iba naman ay ang Ateneo at dahil tungkol nga ito sa interview na ginawa ni Toni Gonzaga sa anak ng dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos na si Bongbong Marcos. Narito ang buong nilalaman ng nasabing open letter. Dear Ms. Gonzaga, we are the Ateneo Martial Law Museum, a digital museum housed in the School of Social Sciences of the Ateneo de Manila University. Our mandate is to teach the public about our history under the Marcos regime and to take a stand against attempts to undermine our democracy through the distortion of our dark past under the Marcos regime. Many of those working against these distortions have already expressed their disappointment and disdain over your decision to invite Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. to your show. Let us articulate where this disappointment comes from and what you can do about it. Inviting the son of a murderous and corrupt dictator of our country to show your benefits no one and pushes back the struggle to gain justice from the atrocities committed by the Marcos regime and against historical revisionism running rampant amongst our people. Your show has contributed to the Marcos family's attempts to whitewash their human rights violations and its proven historical record. Marcos is a lying cloud chaser, desperate to change public opinion about historical facts as he has neither history nor truth to his side. No amount of propaganda spewed by the Marcos family and their supporters can erase the factual and proven disastrous effects of the Marcos regime on our country. Your show presented Bongbong Marcos as an amiable and approachable figure. This is also an outright attempt at whitewashing Mr. Marcos is not and will never be ordinary or one with the people. The Marcos family and their allies continue to benefit from the billions of pesos stolen from public coffers during his father's dictatorship, and they continue to escape accountability for their actions. He continues to push a message and a political agenda that erodes efforts to exact justice from the atrocities committed during that period. He has no interest in the betterment of our society. His only interest lies in returning to the halls of power in order to whitewash his family's disastrous legacy and to perpetuate themselves in power. Celebrities should use their platforms, influence, and privilege in order to aid the progress of the common good. Helping build a more just society means that we hold the corrupt and the murderers to account and deprive them of the means and platforms that normalizes and whitewashes these figures and behaviors. The propagandistic lies peddled by Marcos on your show and the lies peddled by those who had orchestrated the current shutdown of your own home network ABS-CBN are fruits from the same tree. These falsehoods are designed to mislead and divide our people so that corruption and lust for power remain rampant and unchecked throughout our country. May we invite you to instead talk to the victims and surviving families of the martial law regime. The Ateneo Martial Law Museum stands ready to facilitate your encounter with the victims of martial law and with the truth. In fact, we think that hearing their stories and struggles will be much more inspirational for your audience than talking to anyone from the Marcos family. These are the stories that celebrities and influencers should strive to popularize and disseminate as they are exemplary models of how we can strive to create a better country for everyone. In the first place, the only reason why we are able to pursue our creative pursuits in a free society today was because of their sacrifices. We owe a lot to those who sacrificed their lives in order to fight for our freedom and democracy. We really do hope that you will take this opportunity to talk and listen to real heroes who suffered and fought against the Marcoses. Our lines will remain open to you and your team should you choose to initiate this process. If other creators would also like to hear our call, our lines remain open to collaborate with you as well. Sincerely, the Ateneo Martial Law Museum, School of Social Sciences, Ateneo de Manila University. Sa post nga na ito ng Ateneo de Manila University Martial Law Museum, maraming netizen ang nag-react na tila daw binibigyan or dinidiktahan ng nasabing post si Toni Gonzaga kung ano lamang ang ibibigay niyang content sa kanyang show. Matatandaang si Toni Gonzaga ay may sariling YouTube channel at meron nga siyang freedom na express ang kanyang thoughts at mag-invite kung sino ang gusto niyang imbitahan. At depende na rin sa tao kung paano sila magre-react sa mga shows na napapanood nila. Kaya naman dahil dito, maraming netizen ang hati at talaga namang nagbigay din ng komento sa nasabing post ng Ateneo. I happened to talk face-to-face to someone who experienced Marcos' administration back then. She said life was better during Marcos' leadership than those who followed after him. Sa inyo siguro nang galing ang mga maling libro na isulat, kesyo napakagaling ng Aquino family and ang mga may kasalanan ang Marcos family. Pag sure mo uy, as per my father, mas maganda pa mamuno si Marcos kesa nung mapunta sa Aquino. Nabulok lang naman ang sistema ng Pilipinas. Di nyo na maluloko mga tao, Marcos are the great. Why don't you make your own YouTube channel and interview whoever you want to interview? Why dictate on Toni on who she should interview? Nagmukha tuloy kayong entitled. It's time to rewrite the history book. Sabi pa ng isa, as an open letter to Ateneo Law Museum, may I encourage you to include Menjola Massacre, Hacienda Luisita Massacre, and Kidapawan Massacre in your exhibit. Hearing their stories will also be inspirational for your intended patrons than displaying only those of Marcos's regime. These are stories that institutions like you should strive to popularize and disseminate as well, as you are supposed to be exemplary models of how we can strive to create a better country for everyone. Dagdag pa ng isa, hello Martial Law Museum, since you are pissed off with the content with no malice, hating Ms. Gonzaga, how about kayo gumawa ng documentation about these victims? We would love to hear their side also with no biases. Not to mention also the victims of NPAs, people who live peacefully during martial law. Sama na din natin yung foreign people na nakipag-align sa Pinas during Marcos regime. Dagdag pa ng isa, someone is reacting on the freedom of speech others. Why would you even tell her what to do? Who are you to tell her, by the way? If you are really concerned on the impact on that interview, that itself should tell you that you should do better. It's like you want to have a one-sided interview. Even in courts, both sides of the story needs to be heard, even though it's really obvious who is at fault. Go to her, tell your side of the story, but don't ever tell her to do this or do that. Sabi ng isa, sharing a post from someone with whom I have similar views. Ayoko na sana magkomento pero eto lang ha. Who made you guys dictators of who to interview? Bawal pala mag-interview kay BBM. Bakit? You don't want the side to be heard? Hindi ba research which is essential to academic study means you endeavor to get complete information on matters of historical events? Ano kayo lang may opinion? Kayo lang ang may karanasan sa panahon na iyon? Bongbong Marcos is a primary source of information of the period in which his father was president. He was right there. He has an opinion, one that despite your whiny cancel culture is a valid one based on first-hand information. Why don't you want him to be heard? Are you worried that the narrative you built is biased and so fragile? One interview from BBM would shatter it and reveal the weakness of your single historical perspective. Weak. At dahil na rin sa social media, hindi rin natin mapipigilan ang mga comment na ito ng netizen. Ang maganda ngayon ay meron na nga tayong expression na kung saan ay pwede nating ipahayag ang ating mga sarili at wala nga tayong karapatang diktahan ng sino man kung ano ang gusto nilang gawin. Ano po ang masasabi niyo sa story na ito?